Hey, how y'all doing? So, I went to the comic book shop on Wednesday, May 25th, and I picked up the Milestone Returns issue. And it was just it was grave curiosity that made me to pick it up. And so I was flipping through this thing, I was reading this thing. And Icon, who is one of my favorite Milestone characters, for people who don't know, Milestone Comics was created in the mid 1990s as a series of black superhero and some villain characters. And my a lot of people know Static Shock, the cartoon, the TV show. He was in that universe. So the universe kind of petered out later, and it was retired, and that was being brought back through DC Comics, who was the publisher of Milestone before. So while everybody else kind of had a thing for Static Shock, the black kid, super science black kid who can shoot lightning from his hands and stuff like that. I thought he was kind of derivative because black lightning already exists. But what I liked Icon because Icon was kind of original. Now I have a stack of Icon comics here, so I'm going to read and we're gonna see which one sounds more like a hero. That's really my point here. The icon in this milestone book, the new one, the 2021 book, sounds like Doctor Doom. The icon in the original series is somewhat judgmental of Earth, but does not sound like a villain. Okay, now I'm going to read you these two things. But first, let's read the 2021 icon. This is uh this is in the Milestone Returns. This was written by Reginald Hudlin. Reginald Hudlin is the woke dude who wrote Black Panther to beat up Captain America and step on his head and all kind of weird stuff. He also the guy who put Black Panther and Storm together in the books, and now they won't stop doing it. But I'm going to read you just 2 pages of Milestones, the new Milestone. Icon is in front of, I'm guessing, like the United Nations. And he says, "People of Earth, I am currently known as Icon. I have been on Earth for several centuries now. For the most part, I have just been waiting for on Earth's technology to advance to the point where I can go home in peace. Earthlings should know the universe is full of intelligent life. There are other aliens besides myself currently on this planet. We have not overtly made contact with your planet because of its primitive state. Your world is not considered primitive because of your technology, crude as it is. It's your morality that is backward. I have traveled the galaxy. I have seen every form of society, theocracies, cooperatives, dictatorships, and I can say that the cultures that thrive are the ones bonded and motivated by love. Love. The very mention of the word makes you scoff. That's how backward you are. That's why when one of you tries to elevate your society with love, you kill them. Periodically, I try to improve life on Earth. Most recently, at the urging of this young lady who wanted help eliminating crime in her neighborhood. She wanted me to do it in an attention-getting way to inspire others to join in the efforts. Bear in mind, she turned to me, a stranger from another planet, because she wanted to pursue her education and enable her mother to go to and from work without fear of harassment. That is an indictment of your law enforcement and your education system and your economic system and your health programs and your religious beliefs. So, in the absence of leadership in these matters, I'm following the lead of the disenfranchised voice of a young girl, a member of a caste you oppress and exploit. I have no more interest in ruling Earth than you do in ruling an anthill, but hopefully our efforts will inspire Earth to do better. After all, it's good manners to leave a place nicer than when you found it." This is 2 pages. On one of this, and of course on this page where it says, "That's why when one of you tries to elevate your society with love, you kill them," and there's Black Jesus. Nothing wrong with Jesus being black, but it's very interesting that they would have a picture of Black Jesus. So this guy, alien, who's been here for 200 years, apparently doesn't know how our economic system works. And it's an indictment that we're not superpowered beings that can cure every ailment and that can stop every crime from taking place. I mean, isn't it more of an indictment on you that you were on this planet all this time and people still are being killed and raped and murdered and you didn't do anything about it? You're the godlike being, not the regular earthlings. They're not the godlike beings. You are. So if you want to talk about morality, you sat around for 200 fucking years and watched people die. Who's the asshole? Now, that's what they wrote. That's what Reginald Hudlin wrote in 2021. It's the shits. So let's go back to Dwayne McDuffie, who was icon number 25. It was published in 1995. Dwayne McDuffie is the original creator of Icon. Now, in this issue, this is a big issue. Icon is telling the people from his planet. He's a Superman analog, right? So he comes from the sky. He lives among us. Tries to inspire us to do better, but not really, because Icon is kind of like still sort of selfish, where he kind of just wants to go home. But now the Earth is on trial in this issue, in issue 25. And he has to explain what he's been doing on Earth all this time and what the humans are and how the humans behave and what they think and stuff like that. So this whole issue is basically Icon fighting a villain named Oblivion, but he's also given testimony to this almost collective of planets that Earth does not belong to. And interspersed in this, we learn all the different things he's been doing on this planet the entire time. And I'm not going to read it all. Okay, it's entirely too long. I mean, he goes through his entire 200-year history of being on the planet, from when he first crash lands to how he became a superhero, right? But so I'm going to skip some of it, but I'm going to read some of the things that I think are quite pertinent. So page 10. The guy says, well, the judge, he says, the humans are an extremely gifted species. Records show that when genetically maximized, as you were, they are in the 90th percentile or above in physical, mental, and psionic capabilities. Icon responds, socially, however, they are somewhat less impressive. One of the first customs I was to learn involved an intricate caste system based on all things skin color. The judge says, I don't understand. Icon responds, you could not. It is utterly irrational. Segments of the ruling caste claim intellectual and moral superiority based on their relative lack of skin pigment. As a result of these beliefs, they justify the capture and imprisonment of darker-skinned humans, whom they forced into labor. The judge is like, incredible. Like, he's stupefied by this. And he says, Miriam, this Icon, Miriam, the woman who found me, was a member of the darker-skinned caste. She raised and cared for me as if I was her own. From her, I learned that humans did, in theory, if not practice, share many of the values of civilized species throughout the galaxy. She was a kind and wise woman. I grew to love her and gained the respect and affection of many of my fellow slaves. Okay, so then he's asked why didn't he help with his enhanced abilities. He said, I quickly learned not to reveal them. Some humans who discovered my abilities considered them to be magical in nature. Others considered them demonic. Still, I used my power secretly whenever I could to lighten the load of my fellow slaves, adding a resistance movement dedicated to freeing slaves known as the Underground Railroad. So what was the major difference here? Here he says that human beings share the same values as all other civilized beings in the galaxy. In the other book, we're told that human beings do not share the same values as all the other beings in the galaxy, that we hate love, and that we kill people who we want to change the world with love. It is absolute insanity that you would write that. That is a Dr. Doom-ass statement. I can save you, and only I can save you. You're too stupid and weak and backward to save yourselves. It is absolutely ridiculous. So going back to issue 25, we learned why Icon decided to pick up the mantle and start getting into doing Icon work. So he says, uh, Arnis, that's Icon's real name. You were telling us about your relationship with the human woman. He says, yes, Estelle was a brilliant as she was lovely. The daughter of a wealthy black industrialist who'd worked his way out of poverty, Estelle hired me to help set up a philanthropic organization. In short order, we fell in love and were married. The judge says, and you told her the truth about yourself. And Icon says, yes. And far from being repelled, she subsequently encouraged me to share my special gifts. She argued that I should not limit myself to secret acts of heroism, but to seek out like souls and become a symbol for an oppressed people. And the judge says, and that's when you devised the Icon persona. Icon responds, no, I would never quite went public in any broad sense, but with her encouragement, my heroic feats did increase in scope and frequency, leading to a series of rumors about a mystery man. So the judge kind of scolds him and says, it was improper of you to take such risks. It would have been extremely easy to contaminate such a primitive culture. Icon says, perhaps, but it did not happen that way. In 1977, my wife died of cancer. I felt cheated once again by humanity's unbelievably brief lifespan. Moreover, I knew the technology existed to cure her disease, perhaps even within my own pod, if I'd only known how to adapt it to such a purpose. So he didn't say she died of cancer and that's an indictment on your medical system of the earthlings. He says, I could have maybe helped her if I'd have thought about it. You know, maybe my pod could have done it. So he's told that he couldn't do that. You know, it's improper. It's almost like a Star Trek kind of thing where, you know, he's not supposed to be doing all of the things that he's doing, but because he's a hero, he's doing it. So he continues. I relocated to the city of Dakota's ultra-exclusive Prospect Hill section, mostly in order to get away from the memories of Estelle that permeated the Harlem house, but also in order to be near Alva Industries, a company whose researches were nearing the point where I hoped they might be able to effect repairs on the LifePod's communications equipment. In 20 years, 100 at most, I would be on my way home. To pass the time, I threw myself into my work. Freeman, Katz, and Freeman prospered, becoming one of the top special law firms in the country. I became the personal lawyer to corporate leaders, senators, the highest level of America's upper crust. I served on the board of a dozen corporations and executive to estates as many as multimillionaires. I breathed deeply of somewhat rarefied air. Soon, dozens of, quote, years had passed since I was personally confronted by racism of any consequence. Even longer since I had mingled with black people of any kind. I truly believed in America as the land of opportunity. I truly believed that the long fight for equality was won in 1964 with the signing of the Civil Rights Act. In my last days on Earth, I had become a pillar of the community, a staunch, quote, Republican, by your own bootstraps Booker T. Washington conservative. I had little patience or understanding for apologists for black people's condition, nor did I wish to hear any arguments about racism or oppression. Had I been frank with those who would put forth such arguments, I would have said I was born a slave, and I made it. What's your excuse? I had forgotten, if not where I came from, at least where I had been through. If I thought about the condition of blacks at all, it was with a resigned disappointment. But that was before I met Raquel, a child of 15 who saw the world with the same impatient clarity I so admired in Estelle. She made me wonder. She forced me to stop thinking and start feeling. Was there more that I could do? Okay, so Raquel is Rocket, the young lady. She is basically his Robin, and she finds him, or she didn't really. Well, she breaks into his house, and she bumps into him, and from there she kind of coaxes him, since he has superpowers, into going out and helping. So, but you can see from the original writer, the original creator, there's still some racial stuff in it. I mean, that's obviously going to be the case. But look at the tone of the two comments, of the two books. One is a tone of complete narcissism. I'm so much better than you that I have to step down from my high perch to help you, pitiful humans, because you don't have proper health care and law enforcement. versus, hey, I was detached from society due to my own success. And I was coached back into helping people. Like, I was already helping people, but I was coached back into it by a young lady who says, hey, you have these abilities, you can do it. He got the call, the Joseph Campbell, the call, right? And you see that this is not the same thing, right? This is not the same thing. And then when we start talking about the Milestone Returns version of Icon, he is almost Batman-like, where there's surveillance cameras all over the place. Like, he's spying on everybody in the world. This stuff is weird. Why would you write that toxic shit? Now, I know a lot of people are probably not going to pay much attention to this, but there is something about the hubris of a heroic character. I said before, for those of you who are listening to this and you may be interested because I'm doing comic books and not doing wrestling, which is usually what my channel is about, but I was talking in the past about the difference between confidence and arrogance, right? In the context of Bianca Belair and Bayley, two pro wrestlers. Bianca Belair calls herself the EST, strong as, fast as, tough as, rough as, or whatever. She's just basically using affirmations to make herself, to get herself in the right frame of mind. Versus looking down on other people, talking down on other people. Reginald Hudlin, because he's a woke idiot, cannot do anything but talk down to people. Icon is a superior life form. Therefore, he's going to look down upon human beings. How can you ever inspire people by looking down on them? Is that a heroic trait? Do you look down on people and say, when you go to Superman, Captain America, they will try to, tell people to do what they can, do what is within your power to do to become a hero. You can become a hero just by doing what is within your power to do. That everybody has some hero in them. That goes back to what I feel about Bianca Belair, and she says that everybody has some EST. Somebody is as smart as, strong as, tough as, rough as, at something, Now, in this situation, you see that they try to have a similar story. Icon's ship crashes on Earth. He's stuck here. He's raised by slaves. He keeps his powers mostly secret. He helps when he can, but he kind of mostly stays out of the way because he don't want to be, he don't want to change the Earth too much. But in one, he lived on Earth for so long that he kind of understands how things work and he has seen things moving forward. And in the other one, the 2021 version, he is disgusted after being on Earth for 200 years that things are not better. And he figures, I can shame you into being better. And even at one point, for some reason, starts talking about, I don't want to conquer the Earth. It's like, sound like you do. It sounds like you do. You sound like Dr. Doom. But I was reading a book by this guy named Roy Baumeister. And he talks a lot about, he was talking about violence. And specifically, he was talking about evil. Why people do evil things. And one of the reasons that people do evil things is if they feel that they are morally superior. They feel like they are justified to mete out punishments upon those that are their moral inferiors. And to give you some really good examples, dictators, Adolf Hitler, right? Hitler thought he was trying to save the world. Almost everybody who does. Hitler thought, hey, we can create a pure race. We can do all of the things that Icon was talking about. Creating a better medical system, creating a better law enforcement system, better social programs. Hitler did all that shit. But he ended up killing millions of people to do it because human beings are limited. We don't have superpowers. You can't just do whatever you want in the human world. At most, a superhero should understand human limitations. Okay? You can't be... Icon continuously talked about this in the McDuffie issue. How human lifespans are really short. So, that's just Icon. Now let's talk about Rocket. Because they actually got this one wrong too. So let's go to Reginald Hutland's, his reimagining of Rocket's origin. So I'm going to read, again, 2 pages from Reginald Hutland. It started with me doing something dumb for a boy. And then she starts talking about she wanted a typewriter. I wanted a typewriter because I don't want the government reading everything I write on my phone. A typewriter. Okay. This used to be a beautiful neighborhood, but now it's just a hood, haunted. They're in Prospect Hills, which is a nice part of Dakota City, which is a fictional city, of course, in this universe. She was small enough to fit through the doggy hole in the door. She said, I was small enough to break in. I know, it's stupid, but he was cute. While I'm looking around at what seems like a museum, I ended up meeting this man. But he's not just a man. He's an alien that looks like a man. But he's been here for hundreds of years and he's got superpowers. So I decide we should be superheroes. He can be my partner and we're going to change the world. Again, utopian, right? Utopian concept. Now let's go to Icon and Rocket, issue 1, written by Dwayne McDuffie, who is the original writer of this series. Rocket is sitting in a room and she says, I always wanted to be like Toni Morrison, but I'm only 15. I never had anything to write about. Nothing had ever happened to me before, at least before this. So again, we're sitting with the guys in the car and they're telling her they're going to drive to this place. Lenny, Duke, and Noble had this idea. And it was a simple idea. They were going to break into a house in Prospect Hills. She says, stop the car, Noble. I ain't no thief. And then the guy says, we're going up to Prospect Hills. They got so much money up there, they won't even miss the little bit that we take. Besides, we have a good night. Maybe we'll make enough money to get you your typewriter. She says, I'll bet Toni Morrison has a typewriter. I'll bet these people do too. And she's parked in front of this mansion. Her and her friends break into the house. And she says, we split up. I'm not the kind of person who just wants to be because somebody else has it. To tell the truth, I was more interested in looking around than taking anything. Until I saw the study. Whoever lived here had more money, they had knowledge, they had history, and I wanted it more than I wanted anything in my life. I don't think I wanted to snatch the computer because she is reaching towards the computer, but I guess I'll never really know. So then she gets caught. She's caught breaking into Icon's house, and her friends are trying to steal a TV and all kinds of stuff, and somebody gets shot. And she says, I've never seen anybody get shot before, but I'm pretty sure this isn't supposed to happen. So as Icon exposes himself to have superpowers as he's chasing them from his house. And she says, I read this book called Song of Solomon, where this man wanted to fly. Not like an airplane, but for real. In the book, though, flying didn't mean flying. It meant something like flying was like freedom. I thought I understood the book, but I didn't. Not really. Not until I saw it, and she sees Icon flying. When you can fly, there's no burden you can't bear. When you can fly, gravity can't touch you. When you can fly, you can do anything. After what I had seen, my world seemed pretty small. And while my mom gave me hell for coming home late, all I could think about was what a crappy life she's had. What a crappy life I was going to have. And the sudden possibility of flight. That's when I told him, just seeing him opened up a whole new world of our possibilities for me. How I thought he could help lots of people if only they could see what he can do. That's when I told him my plan. And she shows him Icon and Rocket, the drawings that she came up with. And that's how they met. So she was stupefied by his ability to fly and saying that he can do anything, but more than that, just his ability to fly can inspire other people. So in a sense, she is telling him that he can inspire others. But she's looking at their lives and saying, what more can we do? Right? We can do more than this. We can do better. We can be better than this. And you can help. Not that you can save everybody and do everything, but that you can improve life a little bit. And I want to be your partner. I want to help. Right? So there's a fundamental lack of understanding about these characters. This book sucks, and I will not be buying any more, especially not the Icon and Rocket books. Well, certainly not the Static Shock books. VD Ayala is writing it. But I certainly will not be buying the Icon and Rocket books either. And you know what? This is I talk about on this channel a lot a concept called cultural vandalism, where we talk about things that are pillars of communities, pillars of a culture, that are then spray painted with usually Black Lives Matter or queer theory or some crap like that. That's what happened here. Okay. Icon and Rocket have now just been replaced with, I don't know, Black Lives Matter Superman. And he talks like a villain. He doesn't understand human beings. It's like, it's one thing for things to be foreign to you, like, skin color, being a system of causing a caste system. It's another thing for you to be on Earth for 200 years and you still have this holier than thou attitude. It is absolutely atrocious. This is terrible writing. Whatever. I don't know what more to say. Don't buy this book. Please don't buy this book. All right. Thank you guys for listening. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to this channel. Maybe I'll do more comic book stuff if I have, if we have a free day, like I had a free day. And I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace.